Well, that was pretty good, Brian. Now, I'm going to ask you, I've heard of Peiping duck, but I've never heard of summer duck. Is this a recipe or a fly recipe, right?
Well, it actually sounds pretty tasty, doesn't it?
It does.
No, summer duck is a color of material that we, fellow Rowley and I developed in the Stillwater Solutions line of materials, and it imitates it's an amber orange color, which is a very very distinct color of Chronomid pupa that you see in many still waters, productive still waters. And so that's the pattern that I've developed using that coloration.
Well, let's go to a tasty dish, the summer duck Chronomid, right?
Sounds good. I'm going to tie the summer duck Chronomid pupa pattern now, or the summer duck midge pupa pattern. Summer duck is a very interesting color. It's an orangey brown color that you often see the spent shucks on the water of the recently emerged adult. And the material I'm going to use on this fly is the Stillwater Solutions Midge Flex, the 1/8 inch wide Midge Flex. In the summer duck color is appears to be a very orangey type color, but when we stretch it, it lightens up, and then we're using, when we have our tying base underneath of a light brown tying thread, it lightens it up enough. It's a perfect imitation of the actual Chronomid or midge pupa that we're trying to imitate. So in the vise, I have a number 10 curved shrimp pupa hook. I tie this fly, and as small a hook as a 14, and then as large as the 10. And then I have, for the bead, a Stillwater Solutions super white metal bead. And that bead is going to not only provide weight to sink the fly, it'll provide a good representation of the white gills that all Chronomid or midge pupa have. So to start the fly off, I'm going to use the tying thread to build a bit of a tapered underbody. And it doesn't take too long to do that. So we just use the thread. It's just cheaper to use the thread than to use the material. And then you get your nice taper. So, and then I'm just going to taper her down to the bend of the hook. I like tying most of my Chronomid or midge pupa patterns on these curved shrimp pupa hooks because they have a nice wide gap. So it gives you a good opportunity for hooking, and you tend not to lose too many fish either. So I've tied in my fine silver wire, and then I'm going to take my midge flex, and I'm just going to take my scissors and trim it off so I get a bit of a point, just for tying it in so it ties in easier, right behind the bead. And then I'm going to stretch it right to the bend, bring my tying thread back, and then it's just a simple matter of pulling on the material. It's fairly stretchy. Just going to pull on it, and you can adjust color too by pulling harder or less to get different shades. And this material itself, it comes in a wide variety of colors, and it's an excellent material for tying Chronomid or midge pupa in general. And remember, because we're under pressure by pulling on this material, that we want to make sure it's locked down well before we release it. And then I'm just going to cut her there. And then we're just going to take our fine silver wire. I'm going to give 2 or 3 wraps to form a bit of a silver tag at the butt end, like so, and just going to wind it 5 or 6 wraps to bring it up behind the bead. So the segmentation that the fine silver wire gives defines the distinct segmentation you see in Chronomid or midge pupa. And the silver provides a little bit of flash because as the real pupa is rising or elevating to the surface of the lake, it's getting shinier and shinier because it's, or more mirror-like in appearance because it's using gases that it traps under its thorax and abdomen under the skin to help it pop out when it gets to the surface of the lake. So that's why we're ribbing the fly with the silver wire. There we go. And then we're just gonna take our tying thread now, and I'm just gonna cover up about 1/3 of that bead just to reduce the amount of white, and then use the whip finisher. Because as I said earlier, all Chronomids have white gills at the tip of the head, but they're not really bright. They don't really stand out on a lot of the species. So we just want enough white out there to give the indication that there are white gills. So there's the finished fly. It's got the tapered body, the white bead for the gills, the silver rib to imitate the segmentation, and a nice summer duck coloration of that particular Chronomid species.
What is this with red butt flies in Canada, you know?
Well, you know, it's not a joke. It's actually, there's a lot of Chronomid pupa when they're just finished transformation from the larva to the pupa stage. They'll often have a little tag of hemoglobin that didn't quite finish the transformation. So you see a lot of Chronomid pupa with a little tag in of blood red in color. So the red butt, red brown Chronomid pupa is a good imitation of that particular Chronomid stage of the pupal stage.
What's this thing again? The red green, the red brown, the red green show? Is that what?
Yeah, but we're politically correct on this show.
Oh, okay. I just wanted. So okay, so this is obviously a very popular Chronomid.
It's a very popular color combination. That red brown abdominal color plus the red copper wire rib is a deadly combination.
There's no question. Red copper wire, my favorite. I get all the uni wire from Canada.
There you go.
Well, let's take a look at this pattern.